Okay, so today we will discuss about external table. Okay, so see, external table is we call it as a table, but it is not actually a table. What it is does is, uh, let's say for an example, you have some data file into the external stage. Now, what external table does? External table displays those data into a tabular form or into a table based on the file level metadata. It doesn't store the record, but based on the file level metadata, it will show you the record set, whatever there in the file. So simple thing, like whatever data is there in the file in, and maybe that file is there in the external stage, and that file you will be able to see without loading the data into the table. You will be able to see in a tabular format. So that is what the external table does. External table doesn't store any record. External table, basically it's completely based on the file level metadata. It will allow you to query the record whatever there in the file. Simple thing. So you will be able to understand whenever I'll show you the practical. So Snowflake external table allows you to access the file stored in the external stage as a regular table. So if you have any file into the external stage, like maybe that is AWS or something. So if you have any file in the external stage, so basically that file, it will be able to show you in a tabular format without loading the data into the Snowflake. That is what the main point here. So Snowflake external table allows you to access the files. Snowflake external table allows you to access the files stored in the external stage as a regular table. So your file will be looks like a regular table. You will be able to see the data into a table, but actually that data will not be stored. Based on the file level metadata, it will show you the record set in a tabular format. That is what the external table does. You can join the Snowflake external table with the permanent managed table to get the required information or perform the complex transformation involving various tables. So you will be able to join the external table with some other table. Okay, let's say you have a different table in the Snowflake database. Now you can join this external table with different table. You can join with external table with different table of your database to get the required information or to perform the complex transformation involving various tables. Okay, so what is the possibilities here? Let's say for an example, you have some data into the file. Okay, that data, actually what you did, it's a huge record set, and what you can do without loading the data into the basically Snowflake table. First you use the external table to fetch those data sets as a tabular format. Then you can join that external table with existing other tables to perform the complex transformation logic. That means, let's say you want to filter some condition. Let's say in a file you have 1 million records. Now all the 1 billion records you don't want to load to the customer's table. You want only some filtered record will be loaded to the final target table. So what you can do here, you can create an external table on top of the file. Now after that, you can apply some filter condition. If it is needed to join with some other master table, you can join those data to some master table. Then you can finally all the filtered and the complex basically transformed record, you can finally store to the main table. Okay, so that is what you can do through the external table. You get the data into a tabular format. Now whenever you are getting the data into the Snowflake external table, till that time you can say like it is not taking any storage, because it will not load your data. It is just showing the meta. So based on the metadata, it is just showing the record and after that you can join this external table with existing table or any other table, and to get some required filtered information, and then that information you can store to the main table. Okay, so what you say this external table you can think it as a stage, right? Because what we do in general, so from the, let's say, external stage, so that can be AWS, Azure, whatever it is. So let's say from the external stage, what you did, you load the data into a stage environment, right? Stage database. Still, you can say stage DB. And after that, whenever you are getting the stage DB, so from there, see, some people call it as a stage DB, some people call it as a raw DB. Okay, so some project raw database. Okay, like that. And from there, this is the first landing zone of the data. From the external stage, the first in the Snowflake, whenever the data is landing, so it will be landing to the raw database or the stage database, anywhere. So whatever you call it as a. So this is the first landing zone. After that, from here, we load the data to the main target table or main target table. That is what we do. Here we apply some filter conditions. We on this data we apply some filter conditions. We join with other table. We get some filtered data, and that filtered data we load to the main target table. That is what we process. Now in this stage, instead of creating normal table, you can create the external table, because external table is having the benefits of not loading the data physically to the database, so you will not be able to, so basically it will not charge you anything, and that's the reason you can use that external table as a stage. So that is what it is saying in this line. External tables are commonly used to build the data lake, where you access the raw data which is stored in form of the file and perform joins with the existing table. So that you have to understand. So that is the reason external tables are commonly used. External tables are commonly used to build the data lake. Data lake in the sense they are all the raw data will be dumping. Okay, all the raw data will be dumped, and then on based on the raw data, it will apply some condition, some joining condition, complex transformation, and then the final transform record you load to the main table. That is the reason external table used as a data lake in Snowflake. Okay. It stores the file level metadata about the data files. That is what I was telling you, which in turn allows you to query the data stored in these files. So based on the file level metadata, you can query the record set which is there in the file, as if we had that actual table with the data in it. So you will think like it is an actual table and the data is there in the table, but it is not actually. Okay. So this is what the external table. Now we'll see some example on it. So how to create and all. So for an example, let's say I'm creating one database called external tab example. So it's created. Okay. Once it is created, now I'll creating some external table here. Before creation of the external table, you have to understand, for loading the data, whatever things you follow, the same thing you have to follow here also. Like you have to create the stage, you have to create the file format, you have to create the integration object, each and everything. For loading the data, whatever things you follow, the same thing you have to follow here also, because you will be accessing the data from the external stage, so you need the permission to read the bucket of the external stage. So that is the reason. So let me log in first. I will not establish the connection right now. Whatever the existing connection is there with this account, that bucket only I will be using. If I run this statement like DESC integration S3 underscore INT, one second. Just a minute, guys. Okay, so extra integration and so we will be writing the DESC integration underscore ST underscore INT. So whenever we are writing this, basically this storage allowed location. So this location. So actually this is the connection as already established. So I will be using this location only. So let me go to the S3. Now here I will be creating one folder. Let's say ext tab. I'm just creating a folder. Let's go to the create folder, and you can see I have this folder created. I'll go to the folder, and here I will upload some files. Okay, so for an example, let's say I'm going to the upload option, and here let's say I will be uploading one file called student.csv, and let's upload it. And you can see this file has been uploaded here. Okay, now in this folder. Now so after that I'll create the file format. So why I use the existing bucket? Because if I use the existing bucket, then I don't need to establish the connection again. Otherwise, you have to go with the all the steps whatever you did in case of data loading class. Like you have to create the storage integration object. You have to create a role in the AWS site account, and then you have to use the permission and all those things, all the setup you have to do whatever I have shown. So that's the reason basically I just wanted to avoid that step. So that's the reason I use the existing bucket. If you don't have the connection established in your account, then you have to do all the setup whatever we did in the data loading class: storage integration creation, roles creation, sharing the data, like basically establishing the connection, and then you have to create the file format. So for an example, I'm creating a file format here, and also I'm creating a stage here. So create the stage. So for creating the stage, I need the path. So I'll be copied this path from here, and I will paste here. So this is the path st:/. This is the bucket name, and this is the folder name. CSV underscore format is a file format. Storage integration is equal to s3 underscore int. So in this way, basically you have to create your external stage. Once the external stage has been created, then after that create or replace external table name, okay, with location. So now we will be creating the table. So once the basically the stage is created, now you can write down here list @ext underscore csv underscore stage. So you can see you are able to see that file available here. Okay. And now what you can do, you can use that table. create or replace external table name with location @ext csv stage. Okay, create or replace external table name with location. This is the external stage. File format is equal to csv underscore format. This student details is nothing but it is a kind of basically this is the external table without column name. I'll show you two process. One is with column, one is without column name. So this is without column name. So we are creating the external table without column name. Now I did not mention any column while creating the external table. You can see I did not mention any column while creating the external table. Okay. So let's execute. So I will execute this statement. Whenever I will execute this statement, see in one external table will be created. And now if you fetch the data from the external table, you will be seeing because I did not mention any column name while creating the external table. I did not mention any column name while creating the external table. Now you can see automatically one value column got created. And there all the record from the CSV file has been showing here. It is displaying here like this way. You can see because this is the external table. This is the external table where all the files data is visible here. Now you can see this record is basically showing like this way. So the file was CSV record, but in the external table it loaded the data as a semi-structured format. Now you can see if each record, if you see here, the record looks like a key value pair. Like C1 is the first column, C2 is the second column, in the CSV, C3 is the third column in the CSV, like that. So that is how it works. So like C3 is the third column, C4 is the fourth column, C5 is the fifth column, like that. Okay. So anyways, so basically this is the way generally it creates. Okay. This is the way generally it creates. Okay. Now the thing is basically you can see now I will show you one more thing here. If you go to the database here, if you go to the schema, now we will be able to see this table available here. Now you can see in this student underscore details table, you can see if you check here, it is showing as an external table. It is showing the stage related details. It is showing the location related details. It is showing the cloud related details, file format related details, all the details. But if you check your normal type of table, let's say here, if you come, one second. If you if you come here and if you go to the tables, you can see this is the normal table. Employee info is the normal table. Normal table looks like this way. It will show you as a type is a table, number of rows is 10, how much size is available, that will be showing here. Cluster key, these are all information will be there. But if you see the student details table, now here you can see it is showing as an external table. There is no information about the size. There is no information about how many records are there. There is no information about the cluster key, because these are all not possible here. We cannot create the cluster key for an external table because the data is not getting stored. Then how we will be creating the cluster key? So these are all the things you have to understand. Okay, so that's the reason we call it as a normal basically external table, not a regular table. Now you can see this table, whatever records are there in this table, this value column is actually the value column is actually the basically it's a variant column. It's a variant column. Okay, and because of this variant column, so basically because of this variant column, the data is coming here as a semi-structured format, and that's the reason a semi-structured format can be held here. So automatically a column value will be created, which will be a variant column, and there all the data from the file will be loaded into a semi-structured format. Now it's very easy because you got the data into the semi-structured format. Now it's very easy to bring it into a columnar format. Like you already know this process. Simply we will be writing select value colon C1. For an example, this is the value column. So select value colon C1. This is the C1. Double colon data type. You are mentioning the data type here as this is the student ID. Then C value colon C2. So this process we already followed in case of semi-structured data loading. We have seen how to write the query and all in the semi-structured data loading session. So value colon C2 double colon varchar2 as student name. Okay, as student name. Then value colon C3 double colon number as grade. So from the student details. So that is the reason basically. So you got the data into a table where the data stored as a semi-structured format. Now by using this type of query, you can easily break that data and you can find it into a tabular format. For an example, let's say you want to add the next column, like you can write here value colon C4 double colon age as age, like that. Okay, now execute. So what it is saying, oh sorry, so you can see you are getting the data like this way. Okay, so basically you can find out the data into a row column format. Okay, so anyways, so this is the table that we created here. Okay, now once I created the table, after that you see you can apply some filter condition also. Let's say this is the query you retrieve. Now I want only the grade 5 data will be fetched. So what I can do, I can apply here where condition, where grade is equal to 5. Now if you execute, so you will be getting the record only the grade 5. Now this record you can store to the main target table. You can write some insert statement on some other table, taking the data from this table like this way. So that is the reason you can transform the data, you can apply, you can join any existing table is there, you can join that table with this table. So that these are all the things you can do. So and after that basically the final record, final filtered record you can store to main table. That is what you can do through the external table. Okay, anyways, so now my next point is basically I want, let's say for an example, there is a function called external table files. Okay, so select star from table information schema dot external tables files. Okay, where table name is equal to student underscore details. So this is the student details table. So I mentioned the table name here. Now if you execute this query, so you can see like student.csv is there, and you can see this table, this function will give you the file details that from this table, or like I want to know, if I want to know what are all the files are tagged with this table right now, so those information I can find from this function. So I mentioned the table name in the function. Now what are all the files are right now tagged? You can see student.csv is the file name which is right now tagged with this table. Okay, so that is the reason you are able to see this. Okay, now what you can do basically, let's say I want to add a new file in this folder. I want automatically that file will be loaded to the student underscore details table. So right now the student underscore details table is pointing to the only one file, right? Student.csv. If I load any other file to that particular folder, I want that file automatically will be loaded to this. So I will not say exactly the loaded term. That file will be automatically referred by the student underscore details table. So that is what I want to do. So if you want to do that, what you need to do is basically first you have to execute. So this process can be done in two ways. One is manual, one is automation. So both I'll show you. So for an example, first you have to execute alter external table student details. So this is the student details table. Alter external table student details, set auto refresh is equal to true. First you have to execute this auto refresh is equal to true statement. Whenever you will be executing the auto refresh is equal to true statement, then what will happen? So you can write here show external tables. You can write here show external tables. Now you can see if you execute the show external tables, if you go on the right side, there is a notification channel is there. So you have to do the same thing whatever you did in case of Snowpipe. Okay. So in case of Snowpipe, what you did, you came here in the bucket level, you go to the properties, and whenever you let me come to the properties, you created one event notification, right? And in that event notification as a destination SQS ARN, QARN, you mention that particular notification channel. So if you already have set up the notification channel for the bucket, you don't need to do it again, because this is the same notification channel whatever you did in case of the Snowpipe. You can see last 4 digit, if you see 2xqa. So here also if you compare, you will be able to see 2xqa. So for that particular bucket, it's a bucket level property. So that's the reason, until and unless you are there inside the same bucket, you don't need to create another storage, another basically event notification. So simply that event notification will be working. Okay, and you can see this that event notification basically will be working, and whatever the basically notification channel you already have done in case of Snowpipe, the same thing will be working if you are still accessing the same bucket. If you have created the different bucket, then another notification channel will be created. Then another event notification you have to select. Anyways, so for you, just the same process you have to follow. That, like, basically whenever you are getting the notification channel by using this so external table statement, that notification channel you have to use, and you have to do the event notification setup. Exactly same thing we will do whatever we did in class of Snowpipe. Okay. Now, once the notification channel is done, then any file you loaded to that folder should be loaded to that table automatically. Or I can say will be basically referenced by the table automatically. So for an example, let's say I already set up this one. So I'll go to the upload, I'll upload the next file. For an example, let me upload another file here. Let's say student underscore v1.csv. Okay. And let's upload. Now you can see that file has been uploaded here, student underscore v1.csv. Now I will be waiting for some time and see what happens. Okay, so let's execute this one. Still it is showing 24 records, and let me see what happens here. I will execute that again and see 24 record is there. Still it is 24 record is there. If it is taking longer time, then I will go for the manual refreshment. But as of now, let's see. Student underscore v1.csv. Now you can see 38 record. So 24 record was there. Now another 14 record has been added. So 38 record. Now you can see. So both the files data is available here. If you go and check your external table files function, and you will be able to find out student.csv, student underscore v1.csv. Both the files are available. Okay. So that is the main thing it is happening. So like automatically that file is refreshed to the table. Okay. Now this is the automated process. Like by if you are set up that one, it is the automated process. Now without doing the that is basically is happening through the like it's a kind of like serverless features. Like it will be doing with the basically Snowflake's own virtual warehouses, like how we did in case of Snowpipe and all. But you can do it with the manual also. If you want to do it manual, you have to write alter external table student underscore details refresh. This is the automation. This is the manual process. So if you want to do it manual process, you have to run this refresh statement manually. Now you can automate it through the task also. Like if you create a task on top of this alter statement, then the task will be scheduled at some specific time. And every day at some specific time, it will execute the external table. It will execute this external table, alter external table statement, and it will refresh the table. If any new files there, that will be refreshed. So that is what it is happening here. Okay. So right now, two files are there in this tagged with this table, right? Now, for an example, let's say I want, after some time, it is quite possible that I don't want both the files to be loaded into the table. That means simply I don't want to see both the files from the table ground. I want to see only the student underscore v1.csv. So in that case, what you can do is you can simply write a statement like, one second, where is that? Let's say right now two files are tagged with the table. I want to remove one file. You can write simply alter table, alter external table student details, remove files. Alter external table student details, remove files. Student.csv. What it will do, it will untag the student.csv table, student.csv file from the external table. So if I execute this one, you can see unregistered. Here registered, unregistered process happened. So unregistered successfully. Now if you check the table data from the student underscore details table, we will be able to see only 14 records available here. So total 38 record was there. Now you are able to see only 14 records. Remaining records has been removed from the table. Okay, how? Because we have executed this remove files student.csv. So right now, if you see here, so this external table files function, if you check, now we will be able to see only one file is tagged. Student.csv file has been removed from the basically it has unregistered from the table. Okay, so that is what it is doing. Now you can add that file also. Let's say after some time I want to add an extra file to that table. So you can do that also. So alter external table, student details, add file, student.csv. Now if I execute this, you can see registered a new file. So now if you check this function again, now we will be able to see two files are tagged here. One is student.csv. Now if you go here in the student underscore details table, now you will be able to see total 38 records are available. So now you can see both the files data is there. Okay. So this is the how external table works. Anyways, now I will show you another way to create the external table, that is with the table name. Sorry, with the column name. For an example, let's say this is the way basically you can create the external table with column name. So while creating the table, you have to mention the entire thing. Whatever you was mentioning in the query, the entire thing you have to do in the while creating the table. So in the last step, first we created the table, then we written the query to fetch the data in a tabular format. Now in this stage, what you are doing, you are creating the table with the column name and also the for the line, whatever actually we mention in the query. So you can see create or replace external table name, student ID. First you mention. So here you can see first we created the table and then we written this query statement we written. Now just opposite you have to do here. First you have to mention the table name, column name, data type, and then you have to mention this value colon c1 dot varchar 2. This thing why you have to mention, because whenever we create an external table, basically Snowflake will be creating the value column definitely. The data either you are creating with the column or you are creating without column. Both the cases, the external table will be treated as a entire data into a semi-structured format only. It will be treating the entire data as a semi-structured format only. Okay, and that's the reason this value column will be created by default. I'll show you how basically it will be happening. So you can see create or replace external table name, then student ID character, then it will be the first column of the value column. Student name is the character. This will be the second column of the value column. Then grade is the third column. So fourth column, fifth column, like that we mentioned. Then bracket close. Then with location file format. Now, if you create this external table, you will be able to see that if you check the student underscore details underscore p1, now you can check it, because the value column definitely will be created by external table. The value column definitely will be created. Now one advantage is there, the value column automatically transforming it to a columnar format here. So that was not there in the last cases. In the last example we created the table, then in some other query we just executed some query and we broken the data into a tabular column format. But here in a single table itself, the value column will also be there, as well as the columns, that value column, whatever data is there, that will further broken into the column format also. Like C1 comes as a student ID, C2 comes in a student name, C3 will comes in a grade, like that. So that way it will be broken. So this is the way basically you can create the data into the tabular format. Okay. So this is the two type of external table, two way you can create the external table. Okay, now for an example, let's say I want to update something with the external table. So you can execute the update statement, but it will give you an error saying the update statement target must be a table. So your update statement should be applied on the table, not on the external table. External table is not a regular table. Regular table should take the update, insert, delete statement, not the external table. Remember one thing, external table is completely read only. If you try to delete the record, you won't be able to delete, because deletion is also not possible, insertion is also not possible. Anything, whatever you can do through the normal regular table, those are not possible through the external table. You have to always remember the external table is completely read only table. Read-only table in the sense you cannot do any changes on the data level or column level, because whatever data is there or whatever columns are there in the file, only those will be reflected into the external table. You cannot do any modification from the table level if that is not there in the file. So that you have to understand. Okay. So that is the reason basically what we do generally is basically this is we don't call it as a normal table. This is what we call is an external table, which is not a regular table. If you try to delete the data from the table, you won't be able to delete. Similarly, insert or any alter, nothing can be possible to do from the table level apart from the data fetching. You can only fetch the data from the external table, nothing else. You can join the external table with some other table. So I will say that entirely it is based on the query. You can use the external table for the query purpose, nothing else. Okay. Now you can see below things are not supported. First one is the cluster key. Your external table doesn't have the cluster key. As I told you, external table does not store any record, and that's the reason there is no micro-partition concept, and that's the reason there is no issue of the cluster key to be created. So that's the reason cluster key also won't be able to create here. So here cluster key is not applicable. Okay. Now if cloning is not possible, okay, so you can understand here. So different thing you have to practice. So basically for an example, let's say I want to create a clone of this table. Let me try. So like create, let's say table T1, clone this one. So you can see it will be invalid operation, cannot clone from an external table. You cannot clone from an external table. It is not possible. Okay. So table cloning is not possible. For an example, let's say if I clone the database, say this database contains this external table. Now directly table is not getting cloned. Now if I clone the database, whether it is possible, let's try. Let's say create database D12 for an example. Clone. This is the database, right? Let me take that name here and clone here. So you can see it is possible. So database cloning is possible. You can see, I will show you. D12 has been created. Now open the D12, the public schema. Open the public schema. You can see your tables are not there. In this public schema, you have the table student underscore details, student details P1, but you can see in the clone database, in the public schema, you don't have that table. So basically, in any way, external table won't be cloned. So either you are cloning the entire database, or you are cloning the entire schema, or you are cloning the table. You cannot clone the external table. Data sharing is not possible. That means external table are not included in the shared database. Whatever database you are sharing, we don't include the external table. We can't include the external table into the database. So you cannot share the external table data to some other people. Okay. If your data is in XML format, that file cannot be bring into an external table. Apart from that, JSON Parquet you can do, but the thing is that if you have the data into the XML format, you can't do that. Time travel features are not allowed. So if you have any, if you like, you can simply understand if the updation, deletion, insertion operation is not allowed, then time travel features, why it should be allowed? Because time travel features are only to fetch the data from the history. So if you don't have any changes in the data level, then there is no issue for the there is no reason of issuing the time travel features here. So this is the way, this is this is the different restrictions are there in the external table that you have to remember. Okay, so this is the way we work with the external table. And simply that you need to create the external table based on the files, whatever files are there in the external stage, and based on that file basically you can fetch the data, you can join, you can filter, you can load the data to the main target table. So external table simply use as a basically stage environment or data lake, raw data lake, where we dump all the raw data, and based on that data we do some activity. So that is the external table. Clear? Any doubt, any question? So I'll share the code, I'll share the recordings. So tomorrow we will start the procedure class. So we have basically procedure topic pending. It will take 2 class, including the UDFS also. So in the procedure session, first session I will take, tomorrow's session I will take on the JavaScript procedure. Then day after tomorrow, I'll take the session on the SQL procedure and UDFS. Okay. So these two will be next 2 class, and 1 class will be on the Azure. Okay, 1 class will be on the Azure, and also if anything is there, then we'll take basically another session. Otherwise, this week the course will be completed. Now I have a request from your side, is basically this Azure, for working with the Azure I need a Azure account. Okay, so my Azure account is not working, so I already raised this concern But you guys can, if possible from your side, if you have already an Azure account, then you can provide me the user ID password. I will be using that Azure account here in the session, and after that you can basically change your password and you can utilize. So if it is free account, okay, and if you don't have that Azure account, please create one Azure account. Take an initiative and create an Azure account. Just go here, Azure free account. Now it is not allowing me to create a free account. So because I already had an account and that account has been locked, so I'm not able to do that. So you just click on the free Azure account option here, and after that you have to go for the start free option. All the details you have to enter, and then going forward it will allow you to create a free account. If that particular if you don't have any free account created till now, you just create a free Azure account, which I will be using in my class, and I'll to complete the course. Okay, so just try to create an account and let me know if you face any difficulties. Okay, just inform Prakash, so Prakash will be informing me. So anyway, so this is how basically it will be happening. Okay, just take initiative and create an Azure account by tomorrow or something, whenever you get the time. But third class last session will be on Azure session, so at least try to create by tomorrow. Okay, fine. So that's all. Thanks, guys. Thanks for time. Bye bye.
The meeting has ended. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.